The message delivered to Iraqis at prayer was very similar to that being put out in official comments on the radio and in the newspapers. The message here too that Iraq has emerged from the conflict victorious. The Imam here said that it had all been planned by God, that the world was now talking about the Palestinian question because of what Iraq had done. But as those who left Baghdad during the 6 weeks of bombing return, the minds of many people here are concentrated on immediate practical questions, not the long-term political implications of the crisis. More shops are opening, but there's still no power and no piped water. The principal concern of many here now is how long it will take to restore the city's services.
Like our country to be reinstructed again, to get back to where we started from. We want to live like other people live.
Iraqis have still been given no word from their government about the number of casualties their forces sustained, and almost everyone here is now waiting for news of a relation or friend who was at the front. Edward Sturton, ITN, Baghdad.
Iraqi desert.
The road out of Kuwait to Basra. For many of the fleeing Iraqi soldiers, this was their last journey. Vehicles lie scattered and destroyed, with bodies along the roadside. And as we moved south along the road, we found a scene of carnage. A huge convoy of trucks and cars and armored vehicles hit by the Americans from the air with their cluster bombs. It was quite literally a trap. A ridge to one side, a minefield to the other, and above, the bombers. The Allies have cleared many of the bodies from the cars and placed them in small groups to one side. And injured Iraqi soldiers were still being retrieved as we were at the scene. This man had his foot blown off by a landmine. American troops were taking him by stretcher to a nearby field hospital. Everywhere were the remnants of a fleeing army, the ammunition, the guns, even what goods they had looted from Kuwait. The Iraqis had fought back, but without air power, they stood little chance. This is what Allied commanders meant when they said that the Iraqi army was now trapped in Kuwait. And this is the result. One officer here describing it as apocalyptic. At the front of this area of concentrated destruction was a portrait of Saddam Hussein, now framed by American tanks.
The story of the resistance inside Kuwait is beginning to emerge. When Iraqi troops arrived on August the 2nd, Kuwaitis took up arms and went underground. They shared information on Iraqi movements, hid those hunted by the occupiers, and planned ambushes. They risked capture and the prospect of torture and death.
The local police station in the Al Jabriya district of Kuwait City. Now that the Iraqis have left, it's been taken over by the resistance as they try to maintain order and round up weapons from suspected Iraqi sympathizers. The Iraqis renamed this center Al-Hara, or Freedom Police Station. Locals say it was used to torture suspects. There's little sign of the Iraqi occupation here now, except for an army cap rotting in a trench. The fighters here owe their organization and training to one man, Ali Dashti, a former Navy commander. He's reluctant to talk in great detail about their activities under the occupation.
We did blew up a truck full of ammunition. We blew up a few tanks passing by. The people also blew up a couple of checkpoints. And you know, a lot of things happened. We took part in some.
Ali Dashti's own house nearby was blown up by the Iraqis while he was on the run. It was acts like this and the random reprisal shooting of Kuwaitis which forced the resistance to slow down its activities after the first month of the invasion. With the resistors now out in the open, many are coming to them for information about their families who are missing, taken away by the Iraqis. There is some good news here, though. These brothers are meeting for the first time in a year. One has been fighting with the US Marines. The other stayed behind. Kuwait's armed resistance is preparing to hand over power to the official authorities soon. But they say that all Kuwaitis who stayed behind are resistors by very virtue of the fact that they remained here. It's a view that Abdul Youssef would agree with. He printed an underground news leaflet called Free Kuwait People.
There was no newspapers, nothing. Only what we get is from the Iraqis. So this kind of thing was making people happier and give them confidence.
And what risk did you run by doing this?
Life. My life, my family's life, everybody in my family could have been killed for that by the Iraqis.
Kuwaitis now have a chance to express their resistance and exorcise the demons of the past 7 months. One struggle is now over. The fight to rebuild their country is just beginning.